Hello, welcome to the Hobby Maker Hub. My name's Lisa, and this month I'll be showing you how to do a summer vibes tray so that when the weather gets warm, we can sit outside with our Pims or our gin and tonic. So now that you've got your 3 coats on the base of the tray and it's nice and deep in colour, you want to grab 3 round objects. It doesn't matter what they are, they need to just be different sizes. So we want to be making some oranges, some lemons and some limes. So all the requirement is they need to just be 3 different sizes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make it look like the slices of the fruit are sat on the bottom of the tray. So all you want to do is trace the circles. We're going to have a couple of big ones for the oranges. So we just want to leave a mark so that we can see that for painting them in. So that's size number 2, and that's going to be our lemons. And then our little limes are going to be here. So now we've got the shapes of our fruit slices. All we need to do now is we need to fill them in white to give us a nice crisp background. So all you want to do now is, using your steadiest hand and some white acrylic, you just want to go round. It's easier to turn the tray actually than try to bend your wrist in the right direction. So if you continue to just turn the tray, you can easily trace the edge of that circle with your brush. Just want a medium brush size for this, nothing too small, otherwise you'll get too many brush strokes. There we go, there's the first one. Try where you can to not have as many raised edges, so be quite frugal with the paint. You can always add more. These do not have to be perfect circles. As you know, fruit is not perfectly round. Okay, so now it's time to bring the fruit alive. So you want to first of all mix the colour for one of your fruit. I'm going to start with the lemons. So choose a lemony lemon. It's a little bit vibrant for me for a lemon, so I'm going to put a teeny bit of white, but you might have the perfect lemon colour. Okay. And I'm going to give that a bit of a mix. Just takes the sharpness off. Now the first thing you want to do with your lemons is you want to put the rind on. I am going to trace just around the outside of the circle again with the lemon colour. Again, don't worry about if it's wonky. Lemons aren't perfect in nature. Nothing is perfect in nature. And now what we want to do is put our segments in. And this is really easy. So all you need to do is do a rounded triangle. leave a little bit of white, like a piece of cheese or a piece of pizza is what we want. Real lemons may only have a certain amount of segments, but we can do as few or as many segments as we choose because it's just on our tray. So we're going to repeat that same process with the limes around the edge to indicate the peel. This is a smaller circle, so the segment should be a tiny bit smaller. If you feel that you've got a really steady hand, you could just give your circles 2 coats of white and utilize the white that you've already done as the pith, and then carefully paint on the segments. I don't trust myself that way. So I do 1 coat of white, do the segments, and then I wait for that to dry and then go over the pith with the white, and then I can put the shape back into my segments. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the white pieces in between the segments, which would be the pith of each fruit. Just take a thin brush and you're just literally going to go back over the circle first, and again try and keep it as thin a lines as you can with that brush, but don't worry too much if it goes awry. This is going to brighten up the white, and any wonky segments that you painted before you'll be able to put right here. So the next stage of our tray is to put some sort of message on there. Today, my message is summer vibes because it's a summer project, but you can personalize this with anything you like. If you've got a machine that cuts for you, bespoke, you can use that. I used water slide transfer paper and I printed off the words summer vibes. So all you need to do is cut around it as closely as you can without worrying too much about getting right into the letters. And there we go. And you can look at your tray and decide where you'd like those words to sit, where the fruits naturally open up. So I think I'm going to go summer and vibes here. Okay, now for those of you who have never used a water slide transfer before, you'll need some warm water. It doesn't have to be boiling, but it has to be warm enough to melt the glue that holds the front to the contact paper. So we'll start with summer and we'll just submerge that in there. And vibes. And you just leave it for about 30 to 40 seconds. And that starts to work its way loose from the contact paper on the back. And you should, in theory, be able to just slide those words right off the page. So you gently take it out of the water, tap off, not too heavily, but tap off some of the water on the back, and then you should, like a sticker, be able to lift the words. Front comes off from the back. Summer. And if you just use your finger to make sure of the adherence to the surface that you're putting it on, and also you can push out any bubbles that have gone underneath that. And very gently you can dry that off. And we do the same with the vibes. Now that we've completed our artwork on our tray, we need to seal it. Now, usually you might want to use the epoxy resin A and B, but because we're doing a really, really thin layer to cover and protect, I'm going to use UV resin today and a UV lamp. It's so simple. All you need to do is pour on the UV resin. You can always add more in the center and just swirl it round so that that circle gets bigger and bigger and goes towards the edges. If you move it around gently, you'll eliminate bubbles. And we don't want this to be too thick, which is why I said you can always add more if you need it. That's it. And you just keep manipulating it around, and you can see that it's traveling to the sides there. And just keep tilting it forwards and backwards until the whole of that base is covered. Now you've got a layer of your UV resin on the bottom, you might find there are little bubbles here and there. You can eliminate bubbles by using a little bit of a lighter and simply hovering over said bubble, and it will simply disappear. If you find as you're tilting it around that you've got spots that you have missed and they're stubborn and they won't cover, you can just get the end of a stick or a skewer, or in my case, a paintbrush, and you can just smooth them over. So now we're looking for these little bubbles, and there they are. There's one, and there it's gone. It is usual to get little bubbles on the surface. And there you go. Once you've completely covered the bottom in a thin layer of UV resin, you want to get your UV machine. Now, this one is obviously too small to put the whole project in at the same time, so you would simply just hold it on for 20 to 30 seconds and then just keep turning the tray around. And this will harden the top layer long enough for you to then go round again. So that's it. That's our summer tray finished.